Hello, I hope everyone is doing all right. Uh, Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I hope you are all safe and that at least you have some peace of mind. Now, um, today, as you saw by the title of the video, I called it "The USA is no longer the place it used to be." And some of you would say, "Well, duh," but you know, I have a reason for making this video. Uh, in the early and mid 80s, and when all of those issues were happening with the fall of the USSR, with the fall of the Berlin Wall and whatever, America, in this case the USA, looked at to the world as a place of opportunity. Of course, it had its defects. It was imperialistic. It was rather aggressive with some people, of course. But it looked like a place where someone could actually go into, be free, work, and make something out of himself or herself. Okay, this is the picture that America gave to the world. My father used to talk about that. He used to talk that if he was in the United States, he would not have two bakeries. He would have an entire chain of them. Okay, and he was a hardworking man. He taught me the value of work, and I thank him for that. Uh, but the issue here is that even in the early 90s, when my father died, he was already seeing fractures. And he was a very smart man. I talk about this often. Him and my mother, that's still alive, okay, they they taught me a lot of things. They taught me to appreciate art, to appreciate opera, to appreciate reading, to appreciate music, classic music. My father loved opera, the Italians, the Wagner, okay, and he pretty much introduced me to all of that, okay. And this was a man that he pretty much made himself, to be honest. He made himself, okay. He did not have much schooling, okay. He was thrown into a colonial war as a special operative that he did not want to go through, neither others, and he had no, regrets about it. He just said, uh, "They told me to go. I had to go. It was my duty. I went and I did my job." And he didn't talk about it much. He never picked up a gun again. He didn't want to teach me or my brothers anything. Okay, the things that I know, it was his brother, my uh, crazy commando uncle that taught me. Okay, he taught me a lot of things that I want to be talking about here now. But if a commando teaches you things, you can understand what he taught you. Okay, but then he told about the war and all of that. But carrying on, today we are talking about USA. In those days, in the early and mid 80s, the USA actually looked like a good place to live. And it was a good place to live. It had its problems, it had its defects, of course. We know how, for example, black people were treated. I understand, I absolutely understand all of that. But there was a sense that you could open a business, for example, and you could make a living for yourself and for your family. And that was the kind of freedom that was not that abundant in the rest of the world, except perhaps in Europe and in a couple of places in South America, for example, Australia, Japan, of course, Japan, Korea, even in China, with all its problems, we know, Tiananmen, remember? But there was this sense of it. But right now, That USA, like the title of the text, title of the video, sorry, says, forgive me, this is not rehearsed, okay? I just pick a subject, I research a bit of the key points I want to make, and then I record it, okay? No rehearsals here, no point, no little papers, nothing like that, okay? But my point is uh, that United States no longer exists. It's dead. And no matter what you tell me, that you can elect a brand new person, a good president or whatever, no matter who you elect, no matter how things shift in politics terms, that image, that soft power that the United States had, it's gone. It's gone. Okay. Maybe you are able to rid yourselves of Trump, but that's this president, the people that surround him, the movement that surround him, like MAGA, like the Proud Boys, and all of that, they are just symptoms of a disease that is festering under the state. And I will also tell you that we also have different diseases right here in Europe. I listen to it every day. I see it every day. Okay. And like I told you in other videos, I am not a leftist, not at all, but I'm also not a bloody fascist, not at all. I think we should have an equalitarian government with citizens. I'm also not a socialist, like you Americans like to call us. I'm a capitalist in the sense that I believe in free enterprise. Okay, I believe that the state is there to regulate, to make sure that the constitution is obeyed, to make sure that people that have their needs set, okay, the state is not there just as a blind regulator, or that it was in the United States, and that now is a bias regulator that gives advantages to the ones that pay off the officials. This is no lie. It's proven. Okay, just go and look at their bank account. But the state is there as a protector of the people and as a representative of the collective of the citizens. Okay, we are all citizens. Us, the business. Okay, the people that live with us in our country. We are all a collective of citizens, and the state has strict obligations like regulate, fight corruption, fight inequality, provide what is in our constitution as fundamental rights that include healthcare, that include just and equitable work life balance. Okay, all of that. Clean water, clean air, housing. The state is there, and it's their obligation because this is what we created the state for as citizens. Okay, but what you see now in the United States is this system of payoff, and even the Democrats are going on with it. Okay, sorry, not all of them, but they will. If, for example, now they get rid of Trump, okay, and you have a decent president that takes decent policies on, that corrects. I don't know how a lot of the things that Mr. Trump has been doing to the USA standing and all of that, but he will be playing in the same game that they are playing right now. So the best that the USA can obtain with a change of government is stagnation. Because you have to remember this, countries will not trust the United States again. Because they know that in 4 or 5 years' time, Another guy gets elected, another movement of MAGAs reaches power, or something the same but with a different name, and back to square one we are. And especially in Europe and Canada, which were, unlike what Mr. Trump likes to say, the closest allies of the United States, the closest supporters of the United States, especially in these two areas, in the EU, in the UK, in Canada, people will never trust the United States again because we have been the target of their hatred. Really, the United States government, with its policies, with its words, with its attitudes, has been purposely targeting Canadians and Europeans. In Europeans, of course, I include the United Kingdom. Okay, when I will, in order to not have any kind of confusion, Europe is composed by several countries. Most of them are in the EU, but you have the United Kingdom and you have other countries. But he makes no distinction. We are all the Europeans, okay? And despite the United Kingdom talking about their special relationship, which I don't understand, I only see the practical effects of the special relationship, which is for the United Kingdom to pretty much act as a client state of the United States. In the ancient times, like we know what a client state is. That is a state that is independent in name, but when the master's voice calls, they will do exactly what they are told and shut up about it. Okay, so take your own conclusions about that one. But that image of the United States, of California beaches, of Hollywood, of being able to drive anywhere, being able to go into a town and get a job and enrich yourself and work, that is completely gone. And I think, and this is my opinion, I think this broken dream, so to call it, is the most nefarious effect that the Trump presidency, sorry, again, English is not my first language, remember that. Uh, One of the most nefarious effects of the Trump presidency is exactly this. It is breaking the confidence that the rest of the world had with the United States. The confidence that if you made a deal with the Americans, they will try to make as much profit as they want out of you, okay? But they would honor their compromises, okay? The US government would honor their compromises. And that is completely gone. And this lack of confidence, it extends, like it or don't like it, sorry, it extends to the United States citizens, to their businesses, and to their interaction with the rest of the world. So, for example, when a European company or a Canadian company, for example, I'm talking about the areas that I know much more about. Okay, that is what I'm not talking about South America or whatever, because my knowledge of those interactions is limited for to what I see, for example, in Brazilian and Argentinian media. Okay, so it's limited, at least in my opinion. But whenever one of a company, for example, in one of those countries wants to develop a business, they will not think once or twice or three times or four times. They will only resort to dealing with anything related to the United States if they have absolutely no more options. They will even deal with China. They will even deal with them before they deal with the United States. And the reason is as simple as this: the Chinese won't back up on their business. and they will also try to get as much of a profit as they can from you, but they will honor their compromises. Exactly what the United States used to do. And this is why I don't think people that are talking about economic shifts and all of that, and at all, of course, I'm no expert. As I told you, I have 3 years of economics, political economics, but I didn't finish my degree. So please talk with someone that has a degree on it, that knows what they're talking about, and maybe they will explain what I'm speaking now, what I'm saying now a little bit better. You can also read up and fact check me. But the reason why the world is making business with China is number one, because they have the means and they have the materials and for example, if you want to internationalize your business, you make a contract with the Chinese government or whatever, and you enter in a Chinese company and you produce your stuff there. It's a quick way of boosting up your international government. It, they have everything there, okay? And you would say, oh, but they are not democratic and this and that. Well, my friend, like I have said also often, economics has no morals. Okay, business will flow where it can easily flow. Business doesn't care anything, absolutely anything about that. And that's the cruel truth, but it's the truth, and it's the type of world that we have. Is it morally acceptable? Well, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care, because what is the validity of you worrying about something that is inevitable? Just like with the United Kingdom, what happened with Brexit? Okay, they are in a huge economical strife, even larger than a lot of people dare to think, because they are seeing the cracks. They are seeing what can happen. What can happen? Sorry, business simply fled. The tourists stopped coming. Did they stop coming completely? No. Did the business? No, of course not. Did the business completely disappear? Of course not. But the key issue here is this. Is it the same as it was in 2010, for example? 2011, 2012, even before that? Is it the same? Do people uh, get on a car and go from France to the United Kingdom to, for example, cross the channel and go visit the city or whatever, or go stroll into Kent? I don't know. You understand? Do people do that? Does an America does an English in England an English businessman needs to have on demand deliver on demand. He needs to have a payload of French goods, and he needs them tomorrow or in the same day. Can he do that? Or vice versa? Will a French seller be able to have on quickly English goods in a day or in hours? Do you understand? That's Brexit. Now we are diverting a bit from the subject, but let me just say this. Brexit is the reason for many of the issues in the United Kingdom. And the rise of reform, that is caused by the inability of the English, and I will say this quickly. My cat has arrived. Okay. Yeah, baby. The inability of the English, because the Scottish, they didn't even vote for it. They wanted to stay, they wanted to remain, to face up to the fact that some of them were, and I completely believe in them, fooled by nice words into some kind of reality that did not existed, and some of them went voluntarily through it. So until the English people start punishing at the polls, I'm not calling for violence, okay? Let me be clear about this. But until they start to say what Mr. Johnson, what Mr. Farage, what all of those nice characters did to them, and until they start to see beyond the rhetoric of reform and all of that, until they reach that point in which they are able to see that, the United Kingdom will never ever progress. You will not turn into a normal country. You will not be able to have a normal relationship with the rest of Europe. Nothing. And this is one of the reasons why I will not say angry, because it's, after all, I'm not English, I'm not British, okay? But this is the reason why Mr. Starmer annoys me so much, because he is intelligent, he is competent. But only now did we hear him talk and criticize reform and their racist speech and all of that. Only now we heard that. Where was he? Where was he all these months ago? And I know what he did. He he more or less quelled the situations of the racist Russian paid riots in the United Kingdom. He dealt with it fairly well after the murder of those three girls. People don't like to look. People will say kid starver and all of that shit, but me, I'm an outsider. Okay, I'm Johnny Foreigner, and I see things from the outside, and he more or less dealt with it. But then he has stupid policies, like not charging the rich, where the money that is originating all of these problems is. He doesn't tax them. He doesn't tax property. He doesn't go to the sun, to the bottom of the question. And he has these policies that are only basically punishing the low and the middle classes. And you have to recognize this, okay? He has to recognize, for example, that the position of the United Kingdom towards the EU is not an equal position. Okay, it's not the same for the UK as it is for the EU. The UK does not have the same international stand as the EU has, and that we are stronger together. Okay, but again, this is a matter for another video. What I was making a summary of my video today, I will say this to anyone that is listening to me: don't treat this United States of America like you treated the United States of America of the past, because they are not the same thing, not at all, and they will never be. Don't think that tomorrow, by the arts of some Disney movie magic, another president will pop up. He will arrive in his white stallion with, maybe it's Gavin Newsom, whatever, and says, "Okay, the crisis is over." No, it will stay there. It will fester under the surface, and it will infect everything until the United States deal with their own questions. But that is a subject for another video. I will talk about it again in the future. We'll talk about some of the historic precedents and all of that, because I think we should talk about it. We should analyze things, because the only way that you can understand others and yourself, I do it to myself too, is to try to look at things from a different point of view. Try to see things coldly. Try to keep your emotions in check, and try to see things as they are. And the emotional reaction you have to a subject, it's also important. So emotionally, for example, I remember that the reaction that we had to the United States, for example, when I was an 80s kid, okay, when you were watching Back to the Future and all of that, okay, and you're watching the zombie movies and all of that, the perspective that you have from that United States, that perspective no longer exists. Right now, when you think of the United States, you think of poverty, of people without health care, of people that are this is only perspective, emotional perspectives. Okay, this is not logical perspectives. You think of people that are always armed, that are constantly arguing. You think of methamphetamine drug addicts, okay, meth heads. You think of all of that. You think of confusion. You think of Christian zealots screaming in the streets. Okay, this is what you think about the United States right now. And this is the emotional reaction that you get from people. So you should not be surprised if you are an American, and if you are a decent person, if you are an educated person, if you are a polite person, if you have nothing to do with these things. Okay, be I don't care if you're black, white, or if you live down south in a farm, or if you are a city dweller, okay, or if you live in the barrio, or if you live in a black neighborhood. What don't try to say, in a sense, don't be surprised. This is what I want to say. Don't be surprised with this type of reaction from people from all over the world, because even if they don't, even if you, for example, are dealing with a person like me, I will probably not be very friendly to you because I will be naturally distrustful of Americans. Sorry, this is my emotional reaction, but I will be logical about it. Okay, if you, for example, if you ask me for directions, I will tell you. I don't know if I will speak with you in English, because right now, even speaking English and a couple of more languages, for ethical reasons, I decided I only speak in Portuguese or in German, my two native languages, and the only two languages that I'm legally, let's say legally, morally obliged to speak in, because they are part of me. But you will find in most of Europe, you will find this type of reaction: a cold, operative, logic way of addressing you. But you can also find people that will not be receptive to engage with you at all, and that will even be resentful of your presence. And this is something that will grow and grow and grow and grow. You have to understand this, and you have to be prepared for it. You have to be prepared to the fact that if you want to leave America, if you want to leave your country, if you want to go and live in Europe, perhaps you should do it now. And also, perhaps, this is my opinion, my humble opinion. If you are moving to Canada or whatever, you have to be prepared to leave that baggage behind you, and to understand that there will be people that will be resentful against you. You have to understand this. And when you are online and you are interacting with people, if before people would laugh at your self entitlement or the way that you assume things, if before people would be laughing, now they will be more aggressive. It is morally acceptable, so to speak, to be mean, really mean to you, and to be indifferent to you, which is the biggest reaction in Europe. To be indifferent to you, to be indifferent to your woes, to not care. Be prepared for that. And if Mr. Trump escalates things, it will even get worse. Now he's riding the Ukraine war, the Ukraine bank car, because he's seeing that Ukraine actually can win this war, and he wants to be on the winning side, and he wants to take credit for it. But even if he does that, even if he takes credit for it, and even if Ukraine says, "Thank you, Mr. President," in the back room, they will be doing what Macron was doing, with the president of Albania and Azerbaijan, laughing, mocking, and telling it as it is. Well, I I hope you liked this video. It was just half an hour of talking about the subject. You know, I like to make these types of videos. I like to have my camera and myself and you in the other side, and we are just talking. Like I always say, we are sitting in a nice cafe, sometimes somewhere in Portugal, where we're sitting at the table. I'm having my espresso, whatever. You are having whatever you like to have. And we are just sitting and talking about things while people pass by. Okay? These are just opinions. Fact check me. Never trust anyone. And by fact checking, I mean go to the actual sources. Okay? Don't go to X and Facebook and whatever. You go to the official sources of the governments. You go and look into the numbers. You see more than one source of news. If you are blessed, let's say, to know more than one language, watch news in more than one language, see multiple sources of information, because in a society like ours, in the future, people will definitely need to be bilingual. They will need to, they will need to have the ability of fact checking things, and not in the way that conspiracy theories and other crazy people fact check things. They don't fact check things. They try to confirm their own narratives in order to have a comfortable lie instead of the truth. Well, again, thank you all for watching this video. I Please leave me your comments, leave me your questions in the comment section. Again, I sometimes I sometimes forget to watch the comments and all of that. I have a lot of things going on, but I will try to answer everyone. Well, stay safe, especially if you are in the United States, okay?